What's going on, everybody? Hey. Welcome to episode 9 of the Rocking Chair Chronicles podcast. Hey, and listen, today is the day, everybody. You've been hearing about this thing going on a couple weeks now. We got something really special for y'all today. We got the debate that everybody is want to hear about. Everybody's been talking about this from the United States to Canada, to South America, across the world, even in the Milky Way galaxy. But people been
Milky Way galaxy.
Yeah, that's what we in, right?
Oh, I'm gonna say
everybody want to know what's going on Earth, man. Like, everything is happening on Earth. And today we have the GOAT Decade debate. We got a special show for y'all today. We have people arguing for the 1970s as being the GOAT decade. We have a brave soul that's going to be arguing for the 1980s as the GOAT decade. And of course, I don't even really feel like it's fair for me to be arguing for the 90s, because I know this is just going to be a cakewalk for the 1990s, man. Like, the 1990s is really the GOAT decade. But we gonna hear everybody out to see what they gotta say. They're gonna be talking about their respective favorite decade. Now, just to let you know, first, before we jump into it, make sure you like and subscribe to the podcast, Rocking Chair Chronicles podcast. You see it scrolling at the bottom. Like and subscribe, and also share the podcast. And if you have any inquiries or anything that you want to send to us, make sure you send it to the Rocking Chair Chronicles 904 at gmail.com email. I repeat, Rocking Chair Chronicles 904 at gmail.com. Any kind of questions, inquiries, suggestions that you have, send them our way, and maybe we'll read it. Maybe we'll just send it to the trash bin. I don't know. Maybe we'll play Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mo. And if one of them look like it's going to be crazy, we might just go ahead and throw it. No, I'm just playing. Y'all go ahead and send your email. We will read them all, and we will see what you have to say, because we enjoy corresponding with the people. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and jump right into it, y'all. Now, some of the particular topics or the particular areas that we'll be talking about pertains to music of the decades, the fashion of the decades, movies, TV, sports, technology and gadgets, the culture, the general vibe that was going on at the time, and then major events that occurred in the decade. So we're going to hear what everybody had to say. And you, the listener, can put your comments under this video and let us know who you think won, who you think has the best decade, your own general thoughts, anything that was omitted. Just, hey, we'll be welcome. We'll be happy to hear what you think. We'll be happy to hear.
Send that thing in. Send your comments in, any thoughts.
Any comments, any thoughts you heard? 90s game, man. Oh, and we didn't have anybody to argue for the 2000s, 10s, and 20s. They didn't even they didn't even say, hey, look, I don't think nobody, considering what happened so far these last 2 decades, wanted to take that challenge on. But anyway, let's go ahead and introduce who we have. So first, let me introduce our 1970s contestants. I got my man Dan. He's going to be arguing for the 1970s. And I have my friend Brenda, who is also going to be tag teaming and arguing for the GOATness of the 1970s. So Dan, welcome in. Brenda, welcome in also. And for the 1980s, we have a one brave soul who will be taking on the burden, just the heavy burden of arguing for how great the 1980s was. And I gotta say, the 1980s is a very close second to the 1990s. That's just my personal opinion. But Carolyn, come on up, join us, and she will be taking on the challenge of arguing herself. I might have something to chime in, because I can go between the 80s and the 90s. It really doesn't matter with me. So Carolyn, welcome for the 80s. Dan and Brenda, welcome for the 1970s. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. We're not going to delay. So let's go ahead and get right into it. And I want each of you, Dan and Brenda, you two can decide who will be the spokesperson for this first part. Hey, just give me like a short sentence or a minute or two just to hype up your decade and why you chose this particular decade. So Dan, Brenda, whichever one of you, if you want to state it, however you want to answer it, go ahead. The floor is yours.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, what I liked about the 70s, besides, to me, the music was the biggest thing. But that, there was the unplugged living. I mean, we were completely unplugged from any kind of technology. I mean, I even lived where there was, party lines. But we just lived our lives, and we weren't constantly connected to everything except for reality around us.
Yeah.
And that was really cool.
Yeah. Now, do the youngsters know what a party line is?
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Maybe not.
No, that I don't know if I should know what that is.
That's not much
What
of a
is
party. Go ahead, Dad. Tell them.
Well, it was just almost like a shared phone line. So in a specific area, all the houses would all share the same phone line, so you could actually pick up the phone and hear other people talking. Anyway, it's kind of a freaky, funky time. And for me, Brenda mentioned the music, but for me, it was the movies. I mean, Star Wars turned sci-fi on its head, completely redefined the genre. Jaws redefined monster movies. I was scared to go boating for 6 months after that movie. So
Godfather.
Yeah, Godfather. There's another one. I didn't think about Godfather. That's good. That's a good input there, Brenda. It was just a different time. There was no cell phones. So you weren't connected everywhere you go. So, there weren't answer machines. So people had to call you until they got you on the phone. So, I don't know, just a different time.
Okay, very nice. Just so the simpler times.
Yes.
Is what I'm hearing from you from the 70s. Okay, so the 70s was a much simpler time. Okay, that's strong to quite strong opener from you guys. All right, Carolyn, you got the burden on your shoulders. Why do you think that the 80s is the GOAT decade?
Well, it's not a burden because it's pretty obvious that the 80s is the GOAT decade. But for the 80s, we were largely still unplugged, and it was all about community and no helicopter parenting. Like, you had your group of friends and you just went out the door and said, Mom, I'm going over to Billy's, and you just went, and they were like, okay, be home for supper. And that was it. So just a lot more freedom, community with your friends, and you didn't have to account for where you were all the time. It was also much simpler decade.
Oh yeah.
All right, that's also strong to quite strong. So, Stephen, I know, I kind of like I could just blow this thing out of the water with just my opening statement for the 1990s. But I've decided, since we just started recording this 9 minutes ago, I might just take more of a kind of like a back seat and assist you, because you also say the 90s, right?
Right.
Like, if you want to, so just go ahead and let everybody know, let all the listeners and the viewers know why you think the 1990s is the GOAT decade.
Well, I noticed a lot of people say they were unplugged for the most part, and I feel like, you correct me if I'm wrong, because I had to fall back on you because
defer to my expertise.
Right, exactly. But I feel like the 90s was kind of like a tweener, in between. Like, you were still, for the most part, kind of unplugged, but you still had technology, to kind of, lean on with certain tasks, like, for instance, like music and gaming, things of that nature. But you still had that piece where, you go outside, hang with your friends, things of that nature. So that's one of the reasons why I believe, like, the 90s kind of the best, decade, because it combines technology and, being outside and connected with people. So.
Yeah, it was like right on the verge of going into, the 2000s, with the Y2K and all that stuff that came up. It's kind of like on the verge of going into the time period that we're in now, but at the same time, like, you had some of those things like the computers and the internet. Al Gore's internet, by the way, at least that's what he's saying. So, the internet became a thing, and AOL chat rooms and all of that in the 90s. It was like right on it was like the perfect mixture. It wasn't so much to where kids would just stand inside all the time, but it was enough where, you can kind of get your feet wet with that kind of thing, but you were still mostly outside or whatnot. So debate over 90s one. This will end today's. No, so all right, guys, thank you for those openers. Y'all make very provocative cases for each of your decades. So we go jump right to it. So our first category we decided upon is music. Which decade had the best jams, the best artists, more of a cultural impact? And Carolyn, I see you already. I saw you set up a little straighter. You ready for this particular category? Well, we're gonna start with Dan and Brenda. 70s, the music. Tell us about the music. What made it the GOAT decade for
the disco era?
Yeah, the Bee Gees and all that stuff. Yeah, we getting ready to hear about all of that. Exactly, that's right. Dan and Brenda. So tell us about the 70s music.
To me, disco was the one hiccup of the 70s.
Dan, the point of this is to argue for your.
I didn't mind disco so much.
To me, it was the quintessential music era. I mean, you had Aerosmith, Led Zeppelin. I mean, we go on and on and on. But even there was funk. I had some funk albums. What's the name of that group? I can't think of the name of the group. It's on the tip of my tongue. For the heaven's sakes, I'm just drawing a brain fade. But anyway, so I was all your big rock.
I know. We had Casey and the Sunshine Band, which is funny because they sounded like they were black.
Right? There was Casey.
Wait, they are?
What's that?
They are? I thought they were.
Oh, CCR.
Like,
No.
I'm not gonna lie.
I don't know what that is.
In the spirit of transparency, like I heard the name and just assumed it was a black band.
Which one?
Casey and the Sunshine Band.
Oh no, they're white.
He's as white as they come.
Right.
Is that who sings?
Yep.
Who sings the song?
Yeah.
That funky music, white boy. Who is that?
Oh,
Is that from the 70s?
I think so. I can't remember.
yeah, but that was definitely not Casey.
No.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so Dan, Brenda, so the music. So please continue. Let us know. This era.
I mean, we had the big Day on the Greens were the big thing, and that Frampton Comes Alive.
Yep.
Like
you had Day in the Greens were Oakland Coliseum. It's a big football stadium. They'd fill that thing up every summer for years. I was too young. My parents wouldn't let me go. But that was all your greats. That was Ted Nugent. And Aerosmith and Leonard Skinner. And that's more Southern rock.
I love Skinner.
Jacksonville band. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Leonard Skinner.
It's like Florida.
The name
Yeah.
sounds cool.
Now,
They were from Florida.
yeah,
or
they're from here,
Alabama.
but they made the song "Sweet Home Alabama." I just
Really?
don't. Yeah, I don't.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah.
I don't understand that.
I'll send you a
And all
playlist.
those, all the big bands and the big stars from that era are still, if they're still alive, they're still going.
Yeah.
And they have not really lost much popularity. I went 6 years ago and saw Peter Frampton, and he was playing with Steve Miller Band, the Joker.
Okay.
They have the longevity that people have never gotten sick of them.
Man, that's a good point.
Right, yeah,
That's a good
styles
point.
probably, yeah.
Yeah. And then you had the 70s with Motown and Stax Records.
Yeah.
You know that. Yeah, that's the 70s got a strong argument on music.
Yeah.
I would say. Yeah.
Brenda, what was the name of the artist that started the rap craze? I was trying to Google.
Was it Run DMC?
No. It was the white lady. I was trying to find it before we started. Blondie? Was it Blondie?
Blondie?
Oh, Blondie did. Yeah.
That's not rap.
She had that. Somebody had that one song that.
Oh, she had, yeah.
And
Man from Mars for eating cars and
Yeah.
That's the one.
Yeah, that was.
yeah.
Okay. Very strong area. You know, that's facts. I gotta give you guys a point on that, because anytime like those old like R&B groups, like the Shy Lights, the Side Lixters, you know, all those, the Delphonics, anytime those guys still tour around, my wife and I go. Like, we'll go see them.
My Saturdays were American Bandstand.
Yep.
And then I would watch Soul Train. I mean, I learned all about Afro Sheen and
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you have
but I watched both of those.
Very
My
nice.
favorite cartoon on Saturday mornings was Fat Albert. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
But that show cracked me up. I still quote lines from it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, very nice.
Yeah, a lot of the cartoons from back then still are, you know, people remember them. If they don't remember them because they weren't alive then, they still have heard about them. My daughter's 30 and she knows everything that went on back then.
Very nice. Excellent. I think you two make a good argument for the music of the 70s. Very nice. Okay. All right, Carolyn, I see you been itching. I see you raring to go about the 80s and the music. So let us hear it.
The 80s, the music of the 80s is why it's the greatest decade. By the way, that Blondie song is Rapture.
I was just I was waiting for you to pause. That I was gonna say, Rapture.
Yeah, Rapture. Okay, so first of all, MTV and in Canada, Much Music launched in the 80s and completely changed the way we experienced music. It was a whole other form of artistic expression. And we were glued to music videos all the time. It was just so unique. Never seen anything like that before. So that was a huge development of music in the 80s. And I think the 80s, that decade, you hadn't seen so many genre of music explode onto the scene. So I had to even write some down because I don't remember everything. But you had like synth pop, you had new wave, you had post-punk, early hip hop, you had the glam hair rock, tons of subgenre. And of course, the one I was most into was the alternative music scene. So the Smith and the Cures and the Pixies, REM, who else? Depeche Mode, New Order, just this explosion of new wave and alternative groups onto the scene as well. So you just had so many different subgroups, different genre of music that exploded onto the scene. And even musical groups, bands today are like steal from 80s sound. You've got Metric, Churches, the 1975. So they're taking 80s synth sounds and all of that all the time. And I can't count the number of times I've randomly heard a song on the radio. I wouldn't know who it's by because I don't remember groups anymore. But I would just say that sounds like an 80s song. Happens all the time. So, and you don't borrow from music that isn't iconic. So 80s was an iconic decade for music. Yeah. I'm stuck in the 80s. I listen to it all the time.
Yeah, I can vouch for that. That is the 80s is man, yeah, the 80s pop. Like the 80s pop just, kind of just takes you back to like the music was just so like a lot of it was like cheesy and corny, but that's what made it good. But I don't know how much the 80s like pop.
Yeah, I don't know too much about the 80s. I'm just taking it in like a sponge.
Like every like if you go to Spotify and pick a 80s pop playlist, it's like almost no skips. Like you won't skip a song. Like even the one hit wonders in that genre in the 80s was, I mean, it was just good music. Like you just drive. It's like it makes you want to go take a road trip or something. Like, I don't even know how this.
Great road trip music. It's great road trip music.
I mean,
and when you listen to it now, you don't only think of the group or the song. You can remember the video that you watched over and over again.
Yeah, MTV. Yeah, very nostalgic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that is good. Strong argument.
So
All right.
MTV came out in the 80s and everything with music videos.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead with the 90s. What you got? 90s music.
Well, I know in the 90s, and you can vouch for this. I know in the 90s, I think rap hip hop came really on the scene.
Mm-hmm.
And then when that came on the scene, I mean, of course, you got some influential people today that died during that time, like Tupac, Biggie, and whatnot. But the hip hop scene, rap scene, kind of influenced the R&B. The R&B scene with a lot of the tones in rap. You'll see an R&B kind of transfer over to R&B. So you see that with Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey, Boyz II Men. I don't know that because my father, he loved Boyz II Men.
Yeah, he had the little
he had the tape and everything. I used to play a little tape or whatnot.
Yeah.
Even like I don't know, the Backstreet Boys in sync. They pop though. They consider pop.
Yeah, it's like, is that pop?
Like,
yeah, I think that's pop.
Boy
Boy band. I think
they
properly classified as boy bands.
Right. Yeah, I think the 90s was like the boy bands.
Boy
band
band
was coming out in the 90s. I don't know if they had that.
98 Degrees and and NSYNC and all that. Like you had more. It was like an era of like that's really like, man. Like I want to say, well, no, I don't know. We got to kind of split Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson can go with 80s or early 90s.
Right.
Thriller came out in the 80s, so
yeah. So
80 what though?
That was the big like Thriller was like
remember.
Yeah, Thriller was like mid 80s, I think, but it was more
right. Yeah, they gotta get up to the 80s.
Yeah, he kind of gained that. Well, Thriller kind of thrust him into the worldwide stage, and then in like the early 90s, he had his stuff where we had the world premiere videos. Yeah. Like he was the one artist I remember having world premiere videos like on Friday nights. Like and everybody would sit in front of the TV. Michael Jackson's video getting ready to premiere tonight at 8 or 9. Like that's the stuff like they don't do that. Like today.
Man. It's like
you missed out on the Jackson 5. Come on, gotta go back further.
True.
Yeah, that's fact.
Jackson 5 and the Osmonds.
Yeah, but like most great solo artists who were in groups, they didn't really get their big time notoriety until they left. Mm-hmm. Like even with Teddy Pendergrass, we can go back to the 70s when he was with the Blue Notes, Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. He was the lead singer, but when he left and became Teddy Pendergrass, it was just different.
Yep.
Yeah. So when Mike left the Jackson 5, it just became different. And this is arguing for Carolyn. Like I said, I can fit in the 80s or the 90s. Mike was such a global phenomenon and sensation, especially when that Thriller dropped. When that dropped, that just kind of took over.
But when Thriller dropped, that video was really like the first time in the 80s when people gathered together to watch. Because I can remember one of my best friends had a TV in her bedroom, and a bunch of us girls went over because we knew that video was playing, and we sat for the premiere of Thriller in her bedroom. And it was like a communal event, which I don't think you would do anymore.
Yeah, they're not doing that anymore.
Nope.
Yeah, it's different now because everything is streamed.
Yeah.
It's streamed.
Everybody's attention span short nowadays. It's like quick information, quick dopamine, boom, boom, boom.
And I don't know what MTV just shows don't know what they comedy skit shows now. They don't even really do music. It's just it's different at this point. Okay, so that was good. So everybody who's listening and taking notes, you guys keep your notes and respond in the comments who you think wins each category. All right, so fashion. Let's jump to fashion, guys. So fashion. Who had the freshest style, wildest
They
trend?
doing questionable stuff in the 70s.
Yeah,
Man.
anything iconic.
I don't know, man.
So Dan and Brenda hit us with a short little blurb on the fashion of the 70s. I think this is going to be interesting.
The late 70s is when they started designer jeans. Jordan jeans was one of the big ones.
Oh,
That was late 70s.
Okay.
Sergio
I was
Valente.
still wearing bell bottoms through the end of the 70s.
Yep, bottoms were huge,
Bell-bottom,
literally.
right?
yeah, you're right.
And tube tops.
Oh, God.
So
Tube tops and halter tops and platform shoes. Even the guys were wearing them.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's true too. Like anything, like you could tell, like if somebody from the 70s transported until our current times, we would know instantly he's from the 70s just by how he looks.
Oh, yeah.
With the hair and the outfits.
The hair, the
Oh,
outfits, ditto jeans for women.
okay.
Oh, dittos. I had all different colors of dittos.
Yeah, see.
I probably had 10 pair.
Very nice.
And oh yeah.
All right. So jeans trend. Okay. All right.
I didn't wear
Jordan.
jeans and
Still
t-shirts.
around today.
Yeah, bell bottoms were the biggest thing, I think.
Yeah, I think
Bell bottoms and
yeah, if it was one article of clothing that people associated with the 70s, it would definitely be bell bottoms.
Yes.
And the shirts, didn't you guys used to wear the shirts, the button, it would like be unbuttoned all the way down to the middle?
Well, not quite all the way down, but yes, severely unbuttoned.
then you wear a lot of gold chains.
What was going
I
on?
wore puka
What
shells. I
y'all doing?
completely forgot about puka shells.
And Hishi beads.
Puka shells, David Cassidy, got to say, I have to argue for the 70s here. I got a little bit because David Cassidy was the greatest of all time. But he wore those.
I had a mad crush on him.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right, very nice. Okay, so we got a little bit of love between the 80s and the 70s.
Yeah.
Okay. Very nice, very nice. All right, Carolyn, 80s fashion and trends.
Okay. Well, everybody thinks that the 80s was like, when they mock it, they always think of the neon and the shoulder pads and, you know, the geometric designs that did exist. But my argument for 80s fashion is kind of in sync with my argument for 80s music. There was an explosion of all different styles. So there's all these different cultures that we came out of the 80s. All the different styles that we have now started in the 80s. So you had like goth, that was a huge 80s beginning there. Goth style. You had like kind of the punk and like the skater culture and post-punk starting around there. You had pre-grunge with like the oversized cardigans, oversized sweaters, and flannels and stuff like that, and kind of the whole thrift shopping thing was born out of the 80s and looking like you actually went thrift shopping. Yeah. Yeah. So there were so many trends there that have had comebacks and that have continued, like Doc Martens. Those have never gone out of style. So I think the 80s just gave birth to a lot of things that have stayed and not gone away.
Wow, that's actually a good point because I don't see anybody walking around with bell bottoms anymore.
No, we do have wide leg pants that have come out this year, but they're not quite the same as bell bottoms.
Yeah, they're trying to get. I guess they're trying to get close to it.
Yeah.
Usually things are cyclical. Like they'll come back
Right,
around at some point, maybe.
Exactly.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, one of the
Steven,
things that's one thing that's really lasted from the 70s, I'm sure way before, though, is like Birkenstocks. I mean, we all wore those, and people are still wearing them.
Really?
It's kind of a hippie 60s things, maybe.
We wore them all in the 70s a lot, and also Wallabies, which they have really come back. They're the men's. Well, the girls wore them too. Leather. I don't know if you know what they are. They're leather shoes, very comfortable. A lot of cowboys wear them a lot, but they're not the only ones that wear them. But they were big then in the 70s, and now they're really big again.
Very nice. Okay, I didn't know that about Birkenstocks. Like I thought that was kind of new.
Yeah.
All my friends wore them. I'd wear them till that cork side would just fall apart.
Okay, so that's another notch in the 70s belt. All right, very nice. All right, Steven, 90s fashion.
I have to lean on you with this because I wasn't that old, but I do remember like it was more so kind of like sound like going off Carolina, like the 80s, kind of with the grunge, a lot of oversized clothing. Like in basketball and whatnot. I know Jordan, I don't want to touch too much on sports yet, but you know, with the baggy shorts and whatnot. In the 80s, they still ran like, you know, the short shorts or whatever. So you start seeing like, you know, the baggy clothing, you know, vintage dressing, like the snapbacks and whatnot, things of that nature. That's what I, you know, kind of see in the 90s or whatever. So
yeah, the baggy phase kind of came later in the decade, I think. Like that, well, mid to late. Yeah, the baggy clothes, the big shirts, like with crisscross, wearing the clothes backwards. Like, I don't really think that took effect too big. They tried to make that a thing, but I don't really think too many people kind of gravitated towards that. And then people just, it seemed like it was more, it wasn't anything. I don't even know if it was really designer driven.
yeah,
if I could say that for the 90s.
Yeah, I feel like it was, you know,
I don't know. It's almost like
too,
it's almost like trends. Anything with lasting impact kind of skipped the 90s as far as clothes. Like it's so you could very clearly see with the 70s the clothes, and you could tell that somebody was from the 70s by how they dress. If you look on pictures, like with 90s, you may be able to tell, but like it's nothing that really had any kind of lasting impact, I think. So I think this is probably one place, unless I'm forgetting something, and you guys would know if I'm forgetting anything. Like, I don't really think it was anything like from the 90s fashion wise that kind of carried over or lasted.
The only thing I could think of is Jordans.
Oh, you know what, the shoes,
Jordans ain't never going nowhere. That all came in the 90s. So like the Nike,
that has to be it, yeah.
Like the shoes, I think.
Like everybody across all, you know, ethnicities, groups. Yeah,
I don't know how it was in the 80s. Nobody was waiting for shoes in lines in the 80s.
No, it wasn't really anything about shoes.
So that really came out in the 90s then, you know, with the
basketball jerseys and things like that. Yeah. It was like more athletic wear. Now that you're talking about it more, it's like more like an athletic wear driven. And like you said, the Jordans. And like, I don't feel like anything was really like formal.
That was all through, you know, hip hop. It kind of came together. You know, stuff
like the
Jordan, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. The Jordans is a big one, but I think fashion, I gotta kind of concede.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, man.
I gotta kind of concede to
keep it real, man. Y'all, you know, a lot of stuff is established in those different.
You take somebody from the 90s and bring them here, you might think he was from the 2000s. Kind of, you know, depending. So.
They have their identifiers.
I'm interested in this next one.
Yeah.
Movies and TV. Like I think this is all right. 70s.
We got him down.
We kind of heard a little bit of. We kind of heard a little bit about it earlier in your opening with the movies and TV. So hit us with a couple of highlights movies and TV.
Live from New York.
Saturday Night Live.
It's Saturday night.
Yeah,
Saturday Night Live.
that is facts.
That's the only time y'all watch
It's
TV.
never been nearly as good again as it was in the 70s.
Oh yeah.
You're right.
Far
For
and away.
various reasons.
Oh,
That's
it's my
correct.
Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was the 70s. They
So
had
many
all
of
the
those
big-
guys went on to be huge stars too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well,
That's it.
Gosh.
me-
So
go ahead, Brenda.
like Karen was talking about getting together to watch the videos. We had one friend who lived in town, and we would all just appear out of nowhere. We would be uptown cruising or whatever, and we would all just show up at her house 11:15 or so that we could watch Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
And that was like our big congregating place to watch that show. And then, oh no, Mr. Bill.
It's
For
pretty
me,
good.
the 70s quintessential 70s movie is Star Wars, far and away.
Yeah.
It just redefined that sci-fi genre. I mean, if you look at movies before and then you look at movies after Star
Yeah.
Wars, they all changed. The graphics completely changed. There's no more cheesy stuff. So, I mean, if you watch the first Star Wars to the third Star Wars, I mean, the technology's changing overnight. I mean, it's night and day from the first one to the third one.
The original 3, right? Yeah, I think
Yeah, the
that's
original
facts.
3.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I watched it not too long ago. Yeah, it is a noticeable difference.
Oh yeah. I mean,
That was the
before
first
that-
movie.
Go ahead.
Went to San Jose to the Century Theaters, waited in line for 45 minutes, which is unheard of to see that movie. That's the first time that something like that ever happened.
Yeah, that was July of '77. There was people that would the news would go out and like in San Francisco, they'd interview people waiting in line. Some people would watch it 2 or 3 times in a day. They'd spend all day either in line or in the theater watching the movie.
Yeah.
And they'll do it day after day after day after day. So yeah, that one's that and Jaws.
Jaws was,
Jaws changed your monster movies. I don't think they ever did a monster movie as well as that. I mean, they reworked Godzilla a few times, but that didn't really change until Jaws came out and it made it realistic instead of, well, more realistic. But anyway, that was another one that, you know, people stood in line multiple days to watch.
yeah.
Yeah, that's I think that's gonna be tough to beat.
Yeah.
Star Wars, yeah, that whole genre, sci-fi genre. All right, Carolyn, I'm interested in hearing what you got to say about this because I was trying to think of it myself, 80s and movies. I don't know.
Oh, come on. Now I will give you Star Wars. Definitely. 'Kay, I was 10 years old when Star Wars came out, and I remember that clearly lining up for that movie. And yeah, Jaws, I'll give you that. I'll give you that one too. So the 70s started the blockbuster era, but the 80s built on it and continued it and made it even grander. Like we had the Star Wars sequels, Indiana Jones, E.T., total blockbuster, Back to the Future. So the 80s improved on what the 70s started. And, those are the kinds of movies that we see like referenced today in TV shows and movies. They go back and reference those things. Like, I'm going to talk about Stranger Things for a second, because that is so obviously heavily influenced by Steven Spielberg and even John Hughes movies. And I'll talk about those in a second. Cobra Kai, based on the Karate Kid, was hugely popular. It started out on YouTube. They weren't sure how it was going to go, and then Netflix picked it up. It was so popular. So 80s movies still have a huge influence on our entertainment these days. And I was going to talk about John Hughes movies because they were like the original teen angst movies, like where teens were finally talked about and recognized, and their lives were expressed through those John Hughes movies, like The Breakfast Club and Pretty in Pink and 16 Candles and Ferris Bueller's Day Off. So that whole generation, the teenage generation, kind of felt like, oh yeah, I can relate to this. So all of those movies came out in the 80s. And we had, what else I was going to say? We had the VCR, come out, and video rentals, which completely changed the film industry and how movies were watched. Like you could rent them and watch them at home, and you could have people over and watch them together and not be quiet like in the movie theater. You could react to each other, you could pause it, go use the washroom or whatever. It was novel for us back then to be able to do that. So kind of the 80s gave rise to what we have now in streaming, and personalizing what you watch.
Right. Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. Boy, because I remember Blockbuster and all that.
Yeah, she's
But
styling.
that come from the 80s, though.
Yeah, she's styling on that. Yeah. That's strong.
Yeah.
That's strong. All right, Stephen, let's start us off.
Okay. I feel like a lot of the shows and the movies that happened in the 90s, you still see them carrying over today. Like they're still remaking them, things of that nature. So, you got The Lion King. Everybody know about The Lion King. That was in the 90s. Toy Story.
That the cartoon phase.
Right. I don't care what nobody say. 90s got the best cartoons ever. Like, it ain't no argument. But you got Toy Story, Lion King, Beauty and the Beast, Bug's Life. I remember Bug's Life. Bug's Life was in the 90s. Pokemon came out in the 90s. I ain't hear none of y'all talk about cartoons, though. Like cartoons, like in the 90s. You got Dragon Ball Z. I don't know if y'all know about Dragon Ball Z anime. They still making Dragon Ball Z shows and movies. Dexter's Laboratory, Pinky and the Brain. You got King of the Hill.
That's not a plus for me, that show.
Yeah, came out in the 90s. A lot of stuff came out in the 90s as far as like cartoons. I feel like it's no era touching the 90s as far as cartoons. You can have your arguments with the movies and whatnot, but
yeah, and I think too, like 90s were more like that. Carolyn makes very strong arguments for the movies of the 80s, and then I think Star Wars and that series crawled so the movies of the 80s can walk. So I guess if it was no such thing as Star Wars, then you wouldn't have some of the things that came out in the 80s. So that's a very good point. But I will say it is only one movie, unless I'm mistaken. It's only one movie that everybody across every generation, worldwide, on a worldwide scale, and I think it's still currently the highest grossing film ever made. I think y'all know which movie I'm talking about. Came out in the 90s. Titanic, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the Titanic. Yeah, so in the 90s, I think the 90s, one thing about the 90s movies is it was all Star Wars and all those movies were blockbusters, but the 90s were like the blockbuster movie phase. You had movies like the Titanic, then you had like this other phase, this other genre movies come in, like the action movies, like the hero movies, the sci-fi action movies. Predators. Now the first Terminator was in the 80s, I think. So Carolyn, you can have the first Terminator. That was good. But Terminator 2 Judgment Day, that was the 90s. Then you had the Matrix. That came out in the 90s, that whole series that grossed a lot of money. Then you had Total Recall. Again, I think you can tip your hat to Dan in the sci-fi era, kind of started in the 70s, but then you saw it become perfected in the 80s, and then it was just taken to a different level in the 90s with some of the sci-fi movies that came out in the 90s. And then you had like the biographies and the documentaries and things like that that came out in the 90s, like Schindler's List and Saving Private Ryan and those types of movies. And you had Forrest Gump, another movie that people still watch to this day whenever it's on. I mean, it was just it was like the blockbuster phase of movies. And I don't know, like maybe the 90s movies, the best 90s movies, maybe they gross more than the other decades, the best movies in the other decade. I don't know. Well, I mean, the dollar today is like everything costs a lot today. So the 2000s will probably cost more. But if all things were equal, I think the blockbuster movie impact that the 90s had was like if you just stack them up next to each other, it's like boom, 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 boom. The 90s was just loaded with movies. Then you had the gangster movies of the 90s, like Goodfellas and all those other kind of movies come out. It was just, I mean, I think if you go on by genres of movies, I think if you put the best movies of any genre in the 90s and put it next to the other decades, I think the other decades are going to go take a back seat to it.
And cartoons too.
I see you, Carolyn.
I was just thinking, a lot of mine in the 70s, there were a lot of movies that I only said I was going to see and never actually went. So went with my friends elsewhere.
Now I'm tracking.
There was a lot of movies I said I went to see.
All right, guys. So we jump into another one. All right, sports. We on sports now.
Okay.
So what we saying with sports? 70s. Brenda, I hear you say,
Kareem Abdul.
I was not really much into sports until, my favorite time in football was in the 80s. So,
okay, so you with Carolyn on this one. All right, very nice.
So Dan will have to go with the sports for me.
Well,
all right, Dan.
To me, I mean, at that time you had the steel curtain in football.
Yeah.
You had Doomsday Defense. See, I'm a big football fan, so I'm going to talk football.
Oh, you talking my language.
So it was iconic until, I mean, I will tip my hat to Carolyn. I mean, the Niners of the 80s was really strong. But I watched pro ball and my parents hated me. My mom hated that I watched football. She thought it was a waste. That was the riveting, pivotal decade because my enjoyment of football, it comes from that decade. You had the Miami Dolphins first perfect season, 72.
Yeah, 72. Yep. They only remind us every year we were the only undefeated team.
Yeah, right. So anyway, my favorite first football player was Larry Zonka, number 39 of the Miami Dolphins.
Yep.
So
big running back. Yeah, I remember him.
When was that? That was 79, 80? No, freshman, 77. We got invited, my high school band got invited to play halftime show for the 49ers on a Monday night. And as we're marching off the field after playing halftime, I walked past this guy wearing a fedora hat and this guy in a blue jersey with number 12 on it.
Okay.
That helped me become a Dallas Cowboy fan. That was Tom Landry and Roger Staubach. And
really?
Wow.
Yeah, I was 15 feet from him. So anyway, that's just a dumb little story. But anyway, that's what built my love of football.
Okay, very nice. Yeah, the 70s was, they had all the rivalries and things in sports in the 70s too. Yeah, so that's pretty good.
Pittsburgh won 4 Super Bowls in 6 years, something like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
They were the first ones to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I did go see the Globetrotters. That was awesome.
I like them. Yeah, they're nice.
And that was back when they were like, the original guys.
Yeah.
4 Super Bowls in 6 years doesn't sound like much parity.
Now, did they start? Did the Globetrotters start in the 70s? Because you can have them if they started in the 70s. That's a strong.
I think they did. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they started in the 70s, early 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, we giving y'all. See, we giving y'all the good stuff too. We're not complete haters of the 70s. That's good. I like that. Very nice. All right, Carolyn. 80s sports.
Okay, my knowledge of sports is a big fat zero, but I will say Wayne Gretzky.
That's big.
He's
The great one.
The all-timer. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Number one hockey player all time.
There you go. So I had to consult the interwebs for other things. So this is what it gave me. And I'm going to read them out because I don't understand any of this really. Magic versus Bird, basketball's most important rivalry.
Yeah.
Facts.
Yeah.
Okay. The 1980 Miracle on Ice of the Winter Olympics, the underdog US hockey team winning the gold medal.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Internet. Mike Tyson. Oh, that's all I got to say. It's Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson. Everybody knows who Mike Tyson is. Joe Montana and Jerry Rice redefining football dominance. That's what the Internet told me. And Martina Navratilova and Steffi Graf ruling tennis. So that's what I got for the 80s. That's what I've been told.
I'm gonna back you up. Some of the best NBA championship games were between the Lakers and the Celtics, Magic and Bird. It was Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. Those are the best games of. I quit watching NBA after those games quit.
Wow.
To me, it was the pinnacle of the NBA. And, who cares what I think? But, I mean, those were fantastic games.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, that really was. That was because they went back and forth. That's what made it like one of the best rivalries, Carolyn. Like they went one year, one will win, the next year the other one will win, and the following year they go back and forth. And you were always tuned in, like, man, what's going on with this? And I can vouch for you on Wayne Gretzky because I'm not a hockey fan, but I know Wayne Gretzky. Like if someone asks me who's the best hockey player of all time, I don't know the sport, but my mind automatically thinks of Wayne Gretzky. So I just recently found out, what's the guy's name who just got the goals record? What's the guy's name this last year? Who was it?
Alex Ovechkin.
Yeah, Ovechkin. He just the goal scoring record or something like that. You ever heard of Alex Ovechkin?
No.
It's my favorite hockey player.
Ovechkin. Yeah.
Okay.
But he doesn't have the all-time points record. I think Gretzky still has that far and away. But as far as actual goal score, I think Ovechkin beat him in goal score or something. So the 80s is good. All right, Steve. What you got for the 90s? Let me just throw this out here real quick. So now you mentioned the Miracle on Ice. I think that's probably one of the ones where a lot of people are like, man, that was like one of the most. That's one of the first iconic like Olympic moments that pops up in somebody's head. But I think the Dream Team. I was gonna say that, the Dream Team in the 90s. You remember where the NBA finally put, or the USA Olympic basketball finally put NBA players back in the Olympics. And USA was just getting beat every time the Olympics was happening. And in '92, the USA Olympic basketball committee is like, wait a minute, man, we got to start by winning on the international level. And so they start adding the NBA players. And that 1992 Olympics, that's when the Dream Team won. They blew everybody out in the whole world in basketball and got the gold medal.
Greatest basketball player ever, Michael Jordan.
Yeah, Michael Jordan. That's when he had his 6 championships with the Bulls. And then Tiger Woods came on the scene, probably top 1 or 2, depending on who you ask. Golf player all time. And then you had like scandals too. Like it was like sports scandals. decade. Remember you had, what's the skater's name? Remember the ice skating in the Winter Olympics was a big thing. You had Nancy Kerrigan hit.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Kerrigan.
Tanya Harding, hit Nancy Kerrigan.
And Tanya Harding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tanya Harding.
Yep. You had that whole thing going on with all of that around that. And then the investigation that went on around that.
Oh, that spawned some good documentaries later.
Yeah. See, the sports was so good in the 90s that it spawned documentaries. Like, I mean, come on.
That's America's favorite pastime, baseball. Baseball probably was at its height in the 90s. I would think.
Steroid era.
Right. Yeah. The superheroes. You got Sammy Sosa, Mark McGuire. I think it was a third person too.
Barry Bonds became a thing.
Right. But remember they was going for the home run record. It was Sammy Sosa and Mark McGuire.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that holds a lot of weight. I think that's America's most watched sport or favorite sport is it baseball?
Baseball, like the America's pastime or something like that.
Baseball, football.
Yeah. So I think sports in the 90s on a worldwide level, the Miracle on Ice though, like that's the one everybody says that is the biggest upset in any sport ever.
Yeah,
because the Russians were like favored by I don't know how much. They were just supposed to cream the United States. Was it the Russians they were playing?
Yes.
Yeah,
The Russians were picked to win because they had such a strong team, and U.S. was okay. You know, because I don't think they were playing the pros. And these guys went out there on the ice and knocked off the Russians. And if you Google that thing, you should see the pictures of the Russian officials. Their mouths are wide open.
Wow.
Because
I would hate to be those players going back home. Yeah, like, oh man, do we want to go back home? Yeah.
Right?
Oh, I'm sure it was bad.
Yeah. I don't know about that, man. Yeah, I think y'all forgot something in the 70s too, though. Wasn't it it was an Olympics happened where it was kind of hostage situation happened?
That was the Israeli.
Oh gosh.
The 70s, was that in the 70s?
Yeah.
Yeah, 70. So it was like 72 Munich
See, I'm
Olympics.
helping y'all out. See, here I go again. I'm helping y'all out.
I think the 90s is losing.
So I'm too busy helping other people out, and I'm trying to. I need to help.
I spent a lot of time with my dad watching racing. We watched open wheel racing and what are some of those drivers from back then, Dan?
Earnhardt
was Andretti.
Earnhardt was
Earnhardt.
all the brothers
in the 70s. Earnhardt was in the 70s.
Remember his dad. Then you had
not Junior, the senior, black number 3.
Dale
Earnhardt.
Yeah. But I go back to like Mario Andretti and those guys.
Yeah, Mario Andretti. That was back when the Indianapolis 500 was the big race from, was it Memorial Day?
Yeah, the Indy.
Yeah.
I think that's the Memorial Day one. Yeah.
But that's
my dad was into racing.
The 70s when stock car racing really took off.
Yeah.
Okay.
I still watch Daytona.
I think each decade has a lots that they could hang their hat on. So, all right, now I don't know how this one's going to go with the tech and the gadgets because the 70s. I mean, they all had rotary phones. I guess
some big phones they had. Wait, was that what decade that was?
When the big old giant block phone. Yeah. That's us, man.
That's the 90s.
Yeah, don't. Man. All right, Dan and Brenda, tell us techs and gadgets. Like it doesn't have to be like telephones, obviously. Like anything.
Pong.
We had Pong, Pac-Man.
No, that was the 80s.
That was the 80s. Pong was your late 70s.
No. Yeah. No. Pac-Man was in the 70s too.
Oh yeah.
We had the big. It was like a table thing that you would sit around and look down at, and in the pizzeria. My friends had a pizzeria in town, and that was the first one we'd ever seen. It had Space Invaders and Pac-Man, and we would all fight over that thing because it was like we'd never seen anything like that before.
Okay. All right. That's
So the beginning of the video games.
What about pinball? Was that started in the 70s? You know how
Oh, no, that's before, but they had pinball.
Pinball goes back to
maybe the 40s or 50s.
Oh,
yeah.
Goodness. Okay. All right. Okay.
All
right. So more like so not so much anything techy, but okay, but it fits because it's like a gadget.
The 80s,
but that was the games were just starting. In my high school, we had a computer. We had one, and a computer room, and the computer took up the entire room.
Oh yeah, big giant. Yeah,
probably loud.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And my cousin was this brainiac guy, and he ran that whole program. I mean, hardly anybody knew what it did or how to use it or anything. We just knew where it was, what it looked like. That was about it. We had mimeograph and ditto machines.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's what I'm starting to realize. Like the 70s crawled, so a lot of us can walk these days. It's like the 70s was like the mother.
The calculators first came out in the 70s.
Yes.
74 when my folks bought my first calculator so I could check my math.
And that's where your love of math started. By the way, Carolyn, this guy loves math. He's like he loves math. Anything math related.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, if you got anything about any kind of equation or pi or whatever it is, Pythagorean theorems, just ask him.
Yeah, sure.
All right, very nice.
Wait, real quick, would vehicles be technology, or is there a category for that?
No, nothing on vehicles, but I mean, you could put vehicles in there. It's kind of a gadget.
Well, because there was the Ford Pinto,
yeah,
the exploding Pinto.
I've heard about that.
I had one in 79, and got the notification for to get the whatever it was they had to change on the gas tank.
Yep.
2 weeks later, I got rear-ended, and if I hadn't had that fixed, I wouldn't be here.
Wow.
Oh my, well, I'm glad that worked out.
Right?
We benefit that happened. We would rather have you here. Very nice. All right, Carolyn, what you got? I know you got something good for us.
Okay. I'm actually surprised. I thought 80s Pac-Man was the 80s. I remember Pong. I remember playing Pong in the 70s, but I thought Pac-Man was the 80s. So I stand corrected. Okay, so I already mentioned we had the VCR. I think TV remote controls came out in the 80s.
Yeah, I think you're right.
It used to be like this big brown clunky thing where you press press down channels, I think. Yeah. We didn't have one of those, but I'm pretty sure that's an 80s thing. The Walkman, Sony Walkman came out in the 80s.
Yeah.
What else? Oh, the Mac, the first Macintosh computer was 84.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a huge thing, like a smaller personal computer, still big, but smaller. And I think the Nintendo gaming system came out then too in the 80s.
Yeah, Nintendo, they did. The first Nintendo. And Atari.
Nintendo.
Yeah, Atari and the stuff before. Yeah. I hate that you remember that. Yeah. Yeah, that's with the 80s.
Yeah. Gosh, that's all that comes to mind right now.
That's
remote control is pretty big though.
It is.
In the VCR.
Yeah.
That's when the parents stopped telling the kids, "Hey, get up and go turn the."
That's right.
That
was such a luxury.
and adjust the little antennas. Yeah,
Yeah.
Wait, hold it. Just stand there and hold it.
exactly.
Yeah.
There it is. Now, make sure. Yeah, I remember those days.
Now, wait a minute. Did the 80s have cordless phones come out too? I should have looked that up. I should
I
have
think
looked
that
that
was
up.
That's close.
Or was that 90s?
I think it was
that's
90s.
close. That's
But that was a
close.
big deal, though.
Mhm.
I don't remember.
You looking it up?
That was huge.
That's close. That seems. Oh man, I don't know. It might be right at the borderline. You know, it probably was
I
one.
said it went popular into the 80s, the 1980s.
Yeah, so it was before the 80s, but it wasn't popular until the 80s. Okay, the 80s can have it. All right, Steven, 90s, man.
Well, probably one of the greatest creations of all time came in the 90s, the World Wide Web.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
game
kinda,
over.
Well, I don't even got to go no further. Like, no, we still use that today.
Al Gore,
We're gonna
we
use
thank
that
you.
for the rest of our lives.
If you listen to this, Al Gore, if you are listening, shout out to you
Right.
for creating the internet for us.
And that leaks out into gaming. You know, you can go online, game all across the world. You got PlayStation. PlayStation first came out in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
I think you've seen more, compact,
Things
that
get
you can hold.
smaller.
Yeah. So you got your Game Boy. The Game Boy was popular in the 90s.
Sega.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember the Nintendo 64.
Mm-hmm. That was in the 90s?
Yeah, I think the 64 was in the 90s. Yeah. Yes, it's probably some most
The
stuff
big
like
giant cell
Yeah.
phone. Cell phones started to
Yeah.
become more of a
Yeah.
thing. They started off really big and blocky and rectangular shaped, and they started to get smaller. Even car phones. Oh, you ever seen a car phone?
No.
Yeah, car
No.
phone that
Oh,
like
yeah,
phone
car
to be in
phone.
your car. Yeah,
It attached the lighter.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, you stick it in
Oh.
the little lighter thing. You have your
Stick it in
car
the lighter.
phone in there. You can
Yeah.
use it.
Oh,
And then MySpace.
that was
Oh, yeah, MySpace.
MySpace became a thing. That's when social media started.
I thought that was
So we got the World Wide Web and social media
Right.
where we can have this talk
Right.
with friends we met on social media. We win.
True.
We got it. Well, I think we got this one running away on this particular
Oh,
category.
speaking of social media, in the 70s, CB radios were a big trend. People had them in their cars.
I
And
was thinking of
my
that.
brother had one in his car, and my friends would come over, and we would just sit out there in the car and talk to strangers. Here we are, 16, 17 years old, talking to truck drivers.
Yeah.
I remember that.
That was our social media.
I remember that because I remember when I used it. Because anytime Good Times, you ever watch Good Times?
Yeah.
TV show, like every time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
When Libra comes on, they had that one episode where I think it was Michael, the youngest son, Michael. It was an episode where he had the CB radio and he was talking to some girl on the CB radio. So when you say that, I was like, okay, yeah, that was a thing in the 70s. Well, since that show was basically.
Breaker.
Yep, that's pretty good. All right, guys, we're getting ready to wind it down here. We just got a couple more quick ones we going through. So cultures and vibes, like what was the overall mood, slang, slang and terms and lifestyle. Dan, Brenda.
Ooh.
Cool.
So that was 70s. That's where it started, like the whole cool. I dig it and all that. That was the 70s.
That was 60s.
Okay. So it was 60s.
Keep on Trucking was a big
We said it
trend.
all the time. Oh, yeah. Keep on trucking with that whole artwork with the guy with the big feet,
Yeah, leaning back. Jeez.
Yeah.
Culture.
Mm-hmm. So was it more laid back in the 70s or was that like 60s?
It was
Very laid back.
Very laid back.
Well, yeah, I know I was laid back in the 60s. Wasn't that Woodstock and all that kind of stuff going on in the 60s?
Yeah, that was 60s.
Yeah, they were laid
That was
back.
the
I
summer of
know
love.
they were laid back. Yeah. Okay.
We
It
were
was kind of like a chill vibe. Everybody was chill. They had the lava lamps. Was that the 70s?
Yeah.
Okay.
Somewhere around my house, I have a lava lamp. I just can't find it.
There it is. Okay. So just very laid back, chill. Okay, like just easy.
Yeah, I mean,
going.
we spent our time cruising a lot.
Yes.
Fridays, Saturdays, sometimes Sunday, and roller skating was a big thing towards the end of the 70s.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
just
because
it was a
I guess-
lot of hanging out with your friends. There was a lot of drinking. But yeah, I think most of the time was just spent hanging out. Like weren't doing anything, just talking. So yeah, it was super laid back in the 70s.
Gotcha. Very nice. Very nice. Okay, that's pretty big. All right, Carolyn, what you got for the 80s? The
feel like
overall
that-
mood, slang.
Oh, slang. Oh my gosh. Tubular. There was a lot of like Valley Girl. That's when the whole Valley Girl thing came in, was like the mid 80s, kind of tubular, grody to the max. Gosh, same div. Gnarly was a good one.
What about
That's
radical?
gnarly. Pardon?
Radical.
Rad
Yeah.
was
Was
an
it the
80s
80s?
term. Yeah, that's totally
Oh, okay.
totally 80s. Yeah, we had a lot of good slang back then. Like as far as the vibe, I feel it's like very much like the 70s. Like you were just, like I said before, you said, this is where I'm going tonight. And your parents were like, okay, have fun, be back by whatever. And that's what you did. You just went to your friend's house and you hung out. You had music on, or maybe you watched a movie, but mostly it was like music, maybe sometimes dancing, but just like being silly. Oh, prank phone calls. I don't know about the 70s, but they were big in the 80s, making prank phone calls. Hi, is your refrigerator?
We did it when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Not the old refrigerator running joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it was just, I don't know. To me, I don't know. Do all older people say this? It was a simpler time. You were just hanging out and having fun with your friends. Yeah. And you'd go places. You'd go to like, I don't know, the local arena when it was the winter time and the hockey was on, or you'd go hang out at the mall, or at McDonald's, or yeah. It was uncomplicated.
I like that word, uncomplicated.
Yeah.
All right, Steven, let me start real
Yeah, I'll let
off
you
and
go.
I'll
No,
let
you
you
got
go. The whole thing?
Yeah, man. I was about 5 years old, man.
Okay, so like with the 90s, I think so the 90s was more, I think the 90s was an era where, as far as like the slang, was when you saw words that had a bad connotation turn into something good. Right. Like you say, hey, what's up, dog? Like, you know, in the previous time you say, dog, who you calling a dog? But it meant something. That's my buddy, that's my friend. Or man, that's dope right there. You know, when somebody said dope, you know, previously you went,
Yeah,
that's bad. But it actually means something good.
Mm-hmm.
So the 90s, I think, is where we started kind of see like slang, you know, historically, his terms were historically had a bad meaning, was flipped on his head in the 90s. Like kind of turned around, kind of started. And also, that's when people start, you know, I just mentioned it when someone said, like, hey, what's up, dog? That was like when that first started in the 90s. And now everybody is calling everybody dog. Well, I mean, not literally everybody, but, you know, a lot of people call people, you know, dog. But that's a lot of the words slipped my mind. But I kind of, as I was thinking about it, you know, a lot of words that had bad definitions were taken in the 90s and flipped to mean something good, which I think is kind of like, you see that even carrying over until now. It's kind of the same words that are used.
That's a good point.
Like someone says, like, man, that's a bad outfit you got on. Right? You know, if it was pre-90s, like, what you mean? What's bad about it? But when you say it now, people understand that to mean, okay, that means good. So bad means good. You know, so I don't know. That's kind of what I think about. I think like the way language was defined kind of started to change in the 90s. Like as far as the vibe, I think I don't know. That's a good one as far as like the vibe or culture. Um like I think that's when you kind of started to see like different, depending on who it is, like different sections of America. And I'm only speaking from American perspective, kind of like start to adopt their own type of vibe or how they acted, if I could say it in that way. It's like he mentioned earlier about how hip hop came in the 90s, and you start having your group of people who adopted that kind of culture as far as look and language. Then you had others like grunge and punk and all those kinds of things. They kind of started to adopt that in there. So it was a lot of different like subcultures and things start popping up in the 90s. I think that's just for me kind of thinking back, because the genre of music, just different genres start popping up, and then you had kids just kind of adopt those different types of genres and the language that came with it also. So a lot of things started to kind of change in the 90s, the more that I'm thinking about it. Not all good, as we know, but it just changed. And so if we're just talking about the impact that it had, some of it was bad impact, some of it was good impact, but it was definitely an impact in the 90s. Whether good or bad. Yeah, we would all agree with that, all right, so we're down to the last category, major events. So 70s, Dan, Brenda, major events, big moments that define the era, something big that happened that is still talked about today. If you have anything for that.
Oh, good question.
One of my favorite memories, well, I guess that it would have been actually 80, but the campaign started before that, because the very first president I ever got to vote for was Ronald Reagan. Things really, the conservative movement really got going about that time. I think people had enough of Carter.
Right.
And
Done.
I think a lot of that had because of the Iran hostage crisis and stuff like that. That was a big thing of the late 70s. A big negative where I'm from, and being from a farming family, and everybody knows this person, but they don't know this person, was Cesar Chavez.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
Not a good person. And we dealt firsthand with him, and he changed things really radically. So that for people in farming, which is my whole life, that was a major event. And it's not just local, it's international. So.
Hey, Brenda.
Huh?
Do you remember 1976?
Yeah.
200-year anniversary of the country. That was a year of patriotism everywhere.
Yeah, that's true.
All kinds of flag.
Oh yeah.
There's all kinds of celebrations.
Yeah,
Anyway, that was.
It was huge.
It was huge.
Yeah, 200 years.
That was a big thing.
You had the oil embargo of 74. So before that, gas was dirt cheap, but after that, it has never come back.
You that's fact.
No, and we had the every other day, right? The
Gas rationing, yeah.
Gas rationing.
I remember traveling to the States with my parents during that time, and we driving, and we had to remember when we had to fill up, and
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm.
You get stuck somewhere.
Yeah. And of course, the Iran hostage, that was a big deal.
It was huge.
It was huge.
Yeah, you hear about that.
I'm trying to think anything else. That was the end of the Nixon and Watergate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That might be the thing.
Yeah, that's probably one of the defining moments of the 70s.
Yeah.
Nixon getting impeached and stepping down. And anyway. Also, that was the end of the moon explorations. No more moonshots in the early 70s.
Yeah. You know what? If the 60s was on here, they could have ran away with this one, I think. Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They would have, 60s was pretty much
60s is
stuff.
full of stuff.
Yeah.
There was a lot of stuff going on.
In the 60s.
We're not gonna talk about them. They're not here. They chickened out.
I was just a little girl.
Right.
All right, Carolyn, what you got for the 80s for us?
Well, I'm going to start with a Canadian event, which was Terry Fox. Don't know if you've heard of Terry Fox. He had cancer, lost a leg to cancer, and he started a cross Canada run to raise money for cancer awareness. And the cancer unfortunately came back. He wasn't even halfway through the run. He started on the east coast of Canada, got to Ontario when we had the news that the cancer had come back, and he eventually succumbed to cancer. He couldn't finish his run. So ever since then, all across Canada, we've had Terry Fox runs every year.
I've heard about that.
Yeah, he's a major Canadian icon, and just did a lot for cancer research, for raising funds for that. So he was a huge 80s figure. He was so popular in Canada. Like, you would get his schedule ahead of time, and people, like crowds of people, would show up on the road just to cheer him on. Yeah, he became quite popular here. So that was a huge event in Canada. And I know in the United States, they did hear of him, like worldwide, they did hear of him. But over the years, obviously, it's kind of waned in other countries, but it goes strong here. What else? The 80s, you had the fall of the Berlin Wall in 89.
Oh, yeah.
That was huge, like the symbolic end of communism, and kind of the end of the Cold War there. Live Aid was a huge concert event. It was like the first major musical event that combined music and humanitarian relief. That was, what is the song that kind of spawned like the songs We Are the World in the States.
Yeah, We Are the World and Heal the World and all that stuff.
And we had one in Canada, Tears Are Not Enough, I think is what it was called. And there's something else. Now you were talking about the moonland, the space program, but didn't NASA have, like, they started like the space shuttle program?
Yep.
There were, and it became, commonplace to watch this on TV now in the 80s, to see these shuttle launches. So that was a big 80s thing as well. That's all I got. That's all I can think of right now.
Oh, that's good. The Berlin Wall thing is pretty big.
Berlin Wall's pretty huge.
Yeah, that's pretty big.
Yeah.
All right. So the 90s is left with us. So the 90s, I think with the 90s, it's like a mix of things, right? So in the 90s, you had events like the race riots in Los Angeles, the 92 event that happened in Los Angeles, the Rodney King thing. You had the O.J. Simpson.
So you had all kinds of major events that spanned across different categories, like sports major events. You had world major events, like the World Trade Center bombing. I think that was in '94 that occurred, and like you had really that era. It was like an era of terrorism that kind of started to. Not saying that terrorism didn't occur.
Peek his head.
Yeah, it kind of started to go up this mountain to the top, and then
Oklahoma City bombing. I think
was that in the '90s.
I think so.
Oklahoma City bombing.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, we'll take it. Thank you very much. We'll take that on the Oklahoma City bombing. Then you had Nelson Mandela, his whole thing over there in South Africa. We won't talk about him too much. That's a whole different topic with Mandela. You had Operation Desert Storm, where the kind of peak of like we mentioned about how terrorism kind of started to go on an upward trend, and you had Desert Storm. And Saddam Hussein and the weapons of mass destruction that was true or not true. We're not going. This is not the conspiracy episode. This isn't the conspiracy episode, so we maybe we'll leave that for something future. But I don't know, the '90s was like really, it was like literally world events. Like wars and like real live wars and. Unfortunately, death that comes with the wars and bombings. It was just like a period of things that happened, not just to on American soil, but in the Middle East, of course, and all other Africa, all other different places. So,
right.
You got something to you good on that?
Yeah, sums it up.
Yeah. All right, and I'm sure I'm forgetting something too. There's much stuff that went on in the '90s. So, all right, guys. That's the last category I have for us. We've been on here for like an hour and a half, battling and duking it out. Doing now.
A few bloodied lips and
yeah. When you watch this, guys, if you've hung in here with us this long, make sure you comment. Let us know why the '90s won in the comments, because we know you're going to say that the '90s very clearly won. Like we could just say the '90s won because of the internet. That's you are watching this video right now because of the 1990s. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Like we can all agree on that part. But thank you, Carolyn. Thank you, Brenda and Dan for arguing for the '70s. Thank you, Carolyn, for arguing for the '80s. All of you did a great job. And I know it's some stuff we all left on the table because truth be told, I mean, these decades all just had so much going on. That you're bound to forget. Yeah, you're bound to forget stuff. And it's all subjective anyway, right? So I still think the '90s was the best. You guys think your decades is the best, and that's perfectly fine. It was good to kind of talk about it and just see how you had also a cross section of things happening. Some things bled over from the '70s to the '80s. Some things bled over from the '80s to the '90s. And I did want to mention this too. I think that as far as major events, I think the 00s would have won. The 00s, the 10s, and the 20s would have won because of 9/11 and COVID. I think if they were here, those two events truly cause a giant change.
Yeah.
Very literally worldwide. But anyway, they're not here. See, we helping other decades get points, even though they didn't want to argue for it. But so anyway, thank y'all guys once again for joining us for this debate. This was perfect. I should say debate in air quotes. This is really good. I learned some things also from the '70s, learned some things with the '80s. So it was I thought this was pretty good. Yeah. So thank y'all for joining us. We hope that y'all have enjoyed this episode. And remember to like, subscribe, and share the podcast to all your buddies, all your friends. Check out the content that's already on there. And look for us to drop new content for you guys to consume and give us feedback on. Thumbs up or thumbs down. We don't matter. We like all feedback. Thank you for joining us on this episode. We will see y'all next time on the podcast.
Peace.